So, here's the headline. West Ham fire sale. And it was an article which completely escaped my attention. And now I've had a look at it. I'm a little bit concerned, but probably not as concerned as you are by what I'm wearing, by the way. I must be honest with you. Normally, I'll wear all sorts down to the man cave, right? It's cold at the moment, and I would have normally been in and out during the day. I've had a busy few days, right? So normally the heat would have been on. It ain't on now. It's freezing, right? It is absolutely freezing. So this is staying on. I'm not going to try and sell you one. We don't stock it in our shop or anything like that. It's got this from Primark, about 20 quid. Bargain. I mean, it's long, it's big, it's like a blanket. I think they call it a schnoodie. Schnoodie? Schnoodie or a schnoodie? These things always confuse me. Was it called a Gillette or a Gillet? It's a body warmer, I know. Anyway, whatever. We'll call it the schnoodie for now. Anyway, I'm wearing it. Forget about what I'm wearing. Let's talk about what's going on at West Ham. Now, it was easy to miss this story. It was a footnote. And you know, it was on Claret and Hewitt, and these stories, they disappear. You know, 8 or 9 stories go up each day, and it disappears down the list. So it took a while really to bring it to my attention. Let's be fair, the World Cup's been on. England have sacked rugby coach at Rugby Union, called Eddie Jones, replaced him with basically an English Eddie Jones clone. Don't worry about it. There's been some boxing on, some really good MMA fights. The best test match I think I've seen in years. England beat Pakistan. A lot's been going on. Easy to miss an article if you like your sport. But bearing in mind the source of it, when it said West Ham fire sale, I think, okay, I know Claret and Hughes sources, and I know, I'm pretty certain where this would have come from. Not that I've verified it as yet. But West Ham fire sale, now it's not the fact that we'd be holding a fire sale, which is a worry, but although it is a concern, it's initially the players that were mentioned, and it was the wording that went into it. So first of all, it was to go on and say that that we would be looking to cash in on certain players. Now, the first one would be to sell Arthur Musuaku, who has only been on loan, to Besiktas for $3 million. Now, first of all, is that just Arthur Musuaku? It's not just a fire sale. I actually think, bearing in mind he's only got 6 months left on his contract, $3 million, we'd do well to get that. And I would always be amazed if anybody would buy Arthur Musuaku. I don't think he's absolutely useless, don't get me wrong. But 6 months left on his contract, $3 million, you'd just wait. I mean, no team can be that desperate for Arthur Musuaku. They can't wait 6 months to get him and get him for nothing, right? So I thought, how important is $3 million to us? Then the next one that I saw was, oh, by the way, Darren Randolph's available for $1 million. What? Darren Randolph for $1 million? So I'm assuming Hugh's been briefed on this stuff. That is the point. $1 million for Darren Randolph. Why? Well, he's got 6 months left on his contract. Who's honestly going to come and pay anything for him? Don't get me wrong. He's had a decent enough career. He's played for his country. But he's at the tail end of his career. No one's going to pay any money for him. He's a journeyman footballer at the end of his career now. Again, 6 months you get him for free. But there's players of his age are probably 10 a penny. You could probably go and get one for free now if that's what you want. Then we got to Lanzini. Lanzini, who's only got a year left on his contract, something like that. We might be open to offers for him. Well, I think that'd be a mistake, by the way. Lanzini is, I'm not just saying this because he scored a goal the other day, by the way. If you're a regular watcher, you know I've been consistent on this. Lanzini is a really, really good squad player, and he's one that doesn't moan. Lanzini doesn't moan at all. He's he's gone from being a regular first teamer to being a squad player, and he's being used by David Moyes in about 3 different positions. Mostly more central midfield now, but you get what I'm saying. He's a little bit versatile, doesn't moan, doesn't kick off. The sort of player that, you know, does well in any squad, really. If you can get somebody that's going to do, I guess is going to do the unglorious stuff, be second choice, and then not moan about it. That's a good thing. But I started looking at it, thinking, well, these are all quite small sums of money that we're going to be looking for. You're never going to get more than 5-6 million for Lanzini. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a good player and he'll do well for someone. But again, his contract is running down. Then we get to the serious stuff, right? Ben Johnson's name's brought up. I think, are you serious? Ben Johnson. And it was a case of, well, basically, the article admitting that we're struggling to agree a deal with Ben Johnson. That's going to be no surprise if you watch the videos last few days. Even if you don't watch these videos, even if you're watching this for the first time, you'll know that we're struggling to tie Ben Johnson down to a contract. Without repeating everything I said, I did a dedicated video on it 2 or 3 days ago. There's no point repeating myself on that. But it would be a little bit of a worry, I think, if the answer to the Ben Johnson conundrum is to sell Ben Johnson. Let me just... anyway, the next bit's about Declan Rice as well. Let me just elaborate that on just a second. Before I do, this video is sponsored by the OneFootball app, which they don't sell these schnoodies in the OneFootball app, but you can download the OneFootball app by using the link below. The OneFootball app is free, and best of all, it is a generic football app which you can tailor to your own specifications. So yes, it's covering the World Cup. Yes, it covers a European game. Yes, it will tell you stuff about all the other teams in the Premier League, but it does what you instruct it to do. So for me, when I sign up, I say I support West Ham. Please just give me the West Ham stories. And what the OneFootball app will do is it will search all the internet, and it will, some algorithm, it's very clever. It will pluck all the West Ham stories from all the websites, from all the newspapers, put them into one place on the app and deliver them straight to your phone to make it a one-stop shop for all your West Ham footballing needs. Best of all, it's free. If you don't like it, you just uninstall it. Please do use the link below, though, and they'll know you've come from this video. And give me a nice pat on the head, basically. So the Ben Johnson situation. The answer to the Ben Johnson situation is, oh, well, we might have to sell him. And this is terrible. This is terrible news. Surely the answer to the Ben Johnson situation is we've still got 6 months. There's time down to a contract. I can't imagine that Ben Johnson is asking for 100 grand a week or anything close to it. I think it's really probably difficult. Let me give you an example. We signed Ryan Fredericks from Fulham. Well, we signed him on a free. He'd left Fulham when he came to us. His contract had expired. We signed him for £50,000 a week. So that whole time, Ryan Fredericks was at West Ham. He was on £50,000 a week. Now, was Ryan Fredericks probably worth £50,000 a week in terms of his ability? Probably not. However, a player like that would probably cost you $5 million, something like that. So actually, he probably was. We didn't have to pay a transfer fee for him. So it sort of works out. The thing is, here's the question. Is Ben Johnson of more value to West Ham than Ryan Fredericks was? Yes. The answer, I'll answer for you. I answered your question. I'm going to answer for you. Yes. Yes, I think Ben Johnson, bearing in mind he's been at West Ham since he's 8. He's a West Ham fan. Not that that should massively inflate your wages, but I think this is why we're taking a mickey with him, by the way, because I think we can get him for cheaper. But he can play right back, left back, all the positions. As I've mentioned, he's actually played in 7 separate positions for West Ham, if you count centre-back in a back 3 and centre-back in a back 2, and left and right centre-back as different positions. But he's played in 7 different positions for us, right? This is a more versatile player. There have been times when Ryan Fredericks wasn't selected, but Ben Johnson was. It's been deemed by David Moyes that he can let Ryan Fredericks go. Apparently he doesn't want to let Ben Johnson go. And why would he? For all the reasons that I said about Lanzini, you can times that by 10. He's a squad player. He doesn't moan. He can play in a number of positions. Look, we might be in a situation where we don't know what's going on with Zuma. Agurd's injured. If you watched the friendly the other day, as I understand it, Angelo Ogbonna went down. I was down for a period of time. It may well be that for a little while we have to use Ben Johnson as a centre-back again. There'll be times this season we have to use him at right-back. I wouldn't be surprised we have to use him at left-back again. Apparently Cresswell's got an injury. These players are worth a decent wage. If our top earner is, as we understand it, on about 130 grand a week, basically what you're asking is Ben Johnson worth a third of that? Of course he is. He absolutely is. So I don't like the fact that our answer to Ben Johnson might be, oh, well, we'll sell him, we'll cash on him now. I think it'd be an absolutely terrible thing to do. But that's not the worst part of the article. The worst part of the article is that actually it's almost like, well, don't worry, because we'll be getting 100 million for Declan Rice next summer. Whoa, hold on a minute. Hold on. I mean, but it's so many questions. Like, number one, I'm not sure we will get 100 million for Declan Rice. He finished the World Cup really, really well. But there's not loads of clubs who are willing to spend £100 million on a midfielder, and I do think people's first choice is probably going to be Jude Bellingham. I know they're different players, but if you've got £100 million to spend on a midfielder, you're probably going to go with Bellingham first. That whoever gets Bellingham, that's one team out of the race. I don't think anyone's going to have the money for Bellingham and Rice. As I've said before, we might get 70, 80 million for him, something like that. I don't think it's nailed on we get 100 million. West Ham would have to play real hardball with that. But anyway, why are we holding this fire sale? That's what worries me. Why do we need to hold it? I've not even got into Vlasic. We've spoken about the Vlasic situation before. Has it turned so quickly when I'm just desperate to recoup funds? Maybe I'm reading it wrong. Maybe it's a case of we want to recoup funds now to give David Moyes some money to spend, but we've discussed this. Maybe, just maybe, Moyes has had a little look and he's thinking twice about selling Soufal. I've got to be honest with you, for all the reasons I said, I didn't manage to catch up with the game against Udinese. As I understand it, Gio tells me Soufal played very, very well indeed. Now, I thought he was probably looking to offload Soufal for about 5 million and whatever he could get from Torino for Vlasic, basically arm him with 15 to 20 million to spend in this window. Maybe it's just that. Maybe they're going to try and hold this fire sale to give some money for David Moyes in January. But the fact that they might consider that actually... Here's the point. If that's what we need the money for, then Declan Rice isn't the answer, because that money's next year, right? We're talking about now. The fact that Declan Rice is brought into the conversation means, well, hold on, maybe this money isn't to give David Moyes money in January. Maybe we have bigger problems. Maybe we've got to actually recoup. Maybe, just maybe, the £180 million we spent was spending some of the Declan Rice money, which, of course, is a theory that's been around for quite some time now. Whichever way you look at it, 1 million for Randolph, you're not going to get it. No one's going to do that. Someone coming to buy Lanzini? I don't think anybody is. Some of it seems really, really quite desperate. Add into that, 3 million for Musuaku. These seem like desperate measures, really. And I've got to say, these aren't necessarily players that other teams are going to want to buy. And I'll say something else just finally on Ben Johnson. If you are factoring Ben Johnson into the equation and what you're looking for is a team that wants Ben Johnson, anyone that wants Ben Johnson is probably not looking to do it quickly. Someone's probably looking at Ben Johnson to use him in exactly the way that West Ham used him, thinking, actually, here's a homegrown player who can play in a number of positions. This is a useful guy to have. If you're a Premier League team, Ben Johnson's a useful guy to have in your squad. He really is. And if you're looking at it from that point of view, there's no massive hurry. Ben Johnson is a signing not just for the now. Ben Johnson is a signing for the next few years for all those reasons I've just said. Basically, you get Ben Johnson, you cover a few positions, it means you can spend money elsewhere. The whole thing smacks a little bit of desperation. And when I read the story, albeit belatedly, it did start me worrying a bit.